summer of chess comes to an end as 20 international grandmasters compete in St. Louis. USChessChamps.com presents the third annual Fall Chess Classic.
Hello and welcome back to round 3 of the 2019 Fall Chess Classic. As always, we are your hosts. My name is Caleb Denby, and I'm joined by the wonderful Grandmaster Dennis Boros.
Oh.
And we will be doing the coverage for you today over these very exciting games in the round 3. And today, actually, the games got started an hour earlier than normal. There was a bit of a scheduling conflict, so a lot of the action is already taking place.
Yes.
So let's get into the standings as quickly as possible, see where we stand coming into today. In Group A, Hrant Melkumian, Vasif Durbali, and Daro Swiertz are all tied at 1.5 points for first place. Daro, of course, joining the previous two leaders with a big win in round 2 over Ray Robson. Following them are Alexander Linderman, Jordan von Forest, Vara Kobian, Alexander Bortnik, and in last place, joint last place, is Alex Ipatov, Ray Robson, and Ilya Smirin with just a 0.5 point out of 2. And in the B group, what we have is Jack Stembuliak out to an early lead with a clear 2 out of 2 to lead the tournament.
He's on fire.
Yeah, absolutely. However, Yasser Quesada Perez is hoping to cause some trouble for Jack. He actually already won his game today,
Wow.
so it'll be interesting to see if Jack maintains his lead. Aram Hakobian is also at 1.5 points. Steven Zierk is at 1.5 as well, the chasers for Jack. And then we have a couple players at 1 point out of 2, Manuel Petrosian and Avidik Grigorian, who have actually not drawn any of their games thus far. 1 win and 1 loss for each of them. Then there are a handful of players at a 0.5 point, and poor Alex Fear was 0 out of 2 so far. And why don't we take a quick look at the format for this tournament and see what these players are playing. There are, of course, 2 10-player round robins. That's the A group and the B group. The time control for the tournament is 90 minutes for the first 40 moves. Then they get 30 minutes added on at move 40 for the remainder of the game. There is a 30-second increment starting from move 1. Of course, the players are not allowed to offer each other a draw until Black makes his 30th move. Of course, they can also draw by repetition or stalemate if somehow they get to stalemate before move 30. Well, that's pretty much all the setup for today. You guys are always welcome to join us on social media. Follow us here on Twitter. Use the hashtag FallChessClassic to get involved. You can join us on YouTube. We're keeping an eye on the YouTube chat. Hello to all you lovely viewers. Silent Gamer, Unity5, Zakaria, Karen, Ricky, so many viewers today, Dennis. It's tough to say hello to them all.
Pleased to hear that Karen is here.
Yes. And lastly, you can also follow the games live yourself at USChessChamps.com if you're interested in seeing all the games, seeing what's going on. Well, without further ado, let's take a look at the A pairings. Alex Ipatov is paired against Ray Robson today. Alex Linderman taking on Alexander Bortnik. Vasif Durbali is playing tournament co-leader Hrant Melkumian. So that'll be an interesting game to watch as well.
Something to watch, yes.
Yeah. Jordan von Forest drew his game already against Vara Kobian. And then lastly, our key matchup of the day is Daro Swiertz, one of those Group A leaders, paired against chess legend Ilya Smirin. So it'll be interesting to see how this one shakes out, with Daro hoping to make some advances in his bid for winning this event, and Ilya hoping to recover. He had a very nice position yesterday, but was unable to convert it into a full point.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Ilya Smirin, he couldn't convert.
Yeah.
But was very close to winning against Jordan van Forest. And in fact, this tournament is turning into the War of Benoni's.
The War of Benoni's. So is that what happened here today? Let's take a look at the
Exactly.
games.
So Smirin started off with c4, e6, g3, c5. We actually saw this one. He played exactly the same thing, so he's being faithful to this system.
Right.
He played this against Vasif Durbali, where the game continued. And later on, Vasif came up with an idea and won the game.
Some serious opening prep from Vasif in that game.
Yes. But
I feel like
yes.
it's important to know. note that it's not quite the same as playing the Benoni against a move like 3 knight c3 or 3 knight f3 from white. With g3, white is committed to this fianchetto variation, which isn't quite as testing as some of those other lines of the Benoni.
But you might be surprised because we've seen at least 3 versions of the Benoni.
Right.
The most classical one with the c5, e takes, c takes d5, d6,
Right.
allowing anything for white to
Yeah.
play, even this bishop f4 system, which is considered to bust the whole Benoni.
Yeah, that's certainly like one of the most critical
Yes.
lines.
So this knight f3, bishop f4 systems, and in fact, Stambuliak won with that exact system. But coming back to this game between Svirts and Smirin, we have this g3 system, which is supposed to make it okay for black to play the Benoni.
Right.
Because on the highest level, if you would ask an old Soviet or Russian grandmaster, he'd raise his hand and tell you, no, 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 you shall not play the Benoni. An incorrect opening like that. And actually they say that because, yes, in the long term, you will have some extra pawns on the queen side,
Right.
but your d6 pawn will be a constant weakness.
Okay.
So g6, d6 is happening.
Goes against that Russian school to create
Yes.
weaknesses for yourself, is what you're trying to say.
Knight f3, castle, castle, rook e8. So what black is trying to achieve is to go knight e4
Makes sense.
and opening up this dark squared bishop. Often if white goes a4, knight e4 indeed happens, takes, and sometimes even this funky move of rook b4 happens.
Yeah, a pretty uncommon type of rook lift.
Yes. Putting pressure and sometimes even sacrificing the exchange,
Ah.
which is very interesting. You'd expect this to be bad for black, but in fact these bishops are so strong that there's ample counterplay.
Makes
The
sense.
computers would hate on it and hate on me, which I don't like that much, but practice shows that this is a game worth trying out.
Yeah, it looks
And
like an interesting line.
yes. So rook e1 was played, planning to go e4 in the future, and also keeping this pawn under protection, because in the future you can still go a3, which in the a4
kind of
system,
preventing
yes,
some pieces landing on b4,
Yes.
whether it be
Yes.
that rook or possibly a knight.
yes. So knight d2 is an idea here, and then now e4, and the point is that you want to plant the knight on c4 and the bishop on f4. And this is the dream scenario. Let's say b6, knight c4. Let me make a random move. And after this, this is the end for black. This is strategically lost. If white manages to put both the knight on c4 and the bishop on f4, this is completely hopeless, as eventually white will play e5, and there's nothing you can do.
It's never so easy, though.
It's not that easy, but if that ever happens, black can, with clear consciousness, give up on this game.
Fair enough. So yeah, black has to play with some urgency. then.
Yes. So Benoni is a tricky system. It's not bad, but you have to be on your toes all the time not to mess it up.
Okay.
a4, knight d7. Again, knight e4 was an idea here. Oh, that is, let me correct that arrow. Trying to put it there, but he went for the knight d7 way of playing, knight e5. Exchanging some pieces.
Yeah, the rule I've always heard is black would love to change off at least one set of minors. He has
Yes.
enough squares for kind of 3 minor pieces.
Yes.
So you'll see black very often try something like knight e4 or knight e5
Yes.
to get rid of that one set.
Yes, but the main issue for black here, for Smirin, is that you might want to exchange some pieces, but you still don't want to get stuck in a passive position.
Of course.
Because then you'll suffer eternally.
Yeah, definitely don't want unfavorable exchanges.
Yes. And this one is a good exchange. You want to free your bishop or give it away if possible.
Right.
Takes, bishop f4, h3, stopping potential knight h5 ideas so you can drop back to d2. And also getting rid of bishop g4s or knight g4s. Because oftentimes this knight would like to hop to e5, and it would feel very comfortable. Let's say e4, knight g4 is a typical idea, preparing f5, and also planting this knight on e5. And just to prove a point, sometimes you would go c4 here, and the idea is if this knight lands on d3, it will be a beautiful position for black.
Absolutely.
Even if you would lose a pawn, you might still go knight d3 because it's worth a pawn to open this glorious bishop up.
Yeah.
So h3 happened, rook b8, a5. And this is the typical way of playing against the Benoni. You want to restrict black.
Yes.
Now, this is the moment when you have to be vigilant with black, because if you allow knight a4, that would stop, let's say h6, knight a4. This would stop this b5 break eternally, and sooner or later, this will get very uncomfortable.
Yeah, b5 the main way that black gets
Yes.
counterplayed.
Yes.
So if
b5 is the
isn't-
main source. Yes.
If it's impossible, then it's going to be very difficult for black
Yes.
to stop any of white's ideas in the center,
Yes.
or even on the queen side.
Just to show some basic ideas in these structures, a5 is not the only way to play here. The other way is to play rook b1, and if b5
And you want to meet
takes,
it with
takes.
b4, correct?
b4, correct. And you'll get, somewhat surprisingly, these Ruy Lopez kind of structures,
Yeah.
where black plays c4, but this just means that white will get a free hand of doing some active play, while black is just condemned of waiting and hoping for the best.
Right.
And if you would take, this b5 would become extremely weak, and this d6 pawn becoming more and more visible, that's going to be a big issue.
Yes, proving the point of some famous Russian grandmasters.
Yes. And that's why you should listen to some famous Russian grandmasters
They-
occasionally.
Then. They know what they're talking about.
Yes. a5, b5, and Smirin knows what he's doing. Takes, takes. And actually I know some other Israeli grandmasters who are big experts on the Benoni, namely Lev Tsakis, who was a Soviet champion in the 80s.
Right.
In fact, he tied with none other than the great Kim
The great Kim.
Gary.
Gary Kasparov.
Yes, Gary Kasparov.
Got him.
So he's a legend in his own right. And it's no wonder, maybe, that Smirin got inspired by his countryman.
Understandable.
So now, usually the only big issue here for white is this b2 pawn. So sooner or later, white will go rook a2 and just defend it. So e4 was played. You want to defend this pawn, but white's play mostly revolves around opening up the center with e5.
Yeah, especially with the bishops planted as they are, kind of aiming at the center.
Yes. And the good part with this fianchetto position is that this bishop gives constant protection for the d5 pawn. So if e5 ever happens, let's say h6, again, just to prove a point. Okay, now there's some, but if takes, bishop takes, this bishop is dominating, and if white ever manages to push the pawn to d6, this game will end in white's favor.
The powerful d pawn really
Yes.
is the decisive factor.
Yes. So knight h5, getting ready to stop that idea, and also opening up the bishop. Bishop e3. It's interesting. I would consider putting the bishop on d2 because that could potentially use the fact, and also
looking for some tactics.
and also maybe helping to eventually play b4.
Right.
So bishop e3 might be a little inaccurate. Bishop d7, rook a2, as it predicted. It defends, and you might even actually jump on the a pawn.
Yeah.
But is it a big deal if black loses the a pawn? Caleb?
Well, I think it's more of a big deal that you allow white's rooks into the position. So if white were to capture on a6, that means that this rook on a6 is actually going to be eyeing black's real weakness, which is, of
Yes.
course, that d6 pawn.
But sometimes you can gamble it, because
Sometimes, yeah.
if black gets active enough, you do get these banker kind of positions. And at that moment, I want to pay my respect for Mr. Paul Benko.
Yes.
He sadly just passed away recently. And some banker plans still kind of work, even in these positions. And as I showed that knight e5 c4 plan, that's a typical banker plan.
Yeah, I think what's most important isn't really this A pawn or the B pawn. It's that whichever side kind of breaks through is going to be more active,
Yes.
and that's really what
Yes.
will decide the fate of the center even.
Yeah. That's why it's I kind of assume white is slightly better in these positions,
Right.
because white has more space and can potentially start pushing these pawns. In fact, the other thing that I kind of was surprised not to see is f5. Probably Weissmarian didn't play f5. This is a typical Benoni move.
Yeah, of course.
But I guess he considers this a bit too risky.
Yeah, with white, possibly even just captures, and then I think white's better prepared to use this e file than black would be. And yeah, there's these tactical problems. There's some weak squares in the black camp.
So this always looks very attractive for black, but if black can't capitalize immediately, there'd be lots of weaknesses in his position.
Yeah. The rule I've heard is that black shouldn't really play f5 if white can capture on f5 and still maintain control of the e4 square. And here, black doesn't have control over that square, so it looks like this should be favorable for white.
Yes. And I kind of feel that this should be the case here.
Yeah.
So queen b8 was played. Probably that's why Weissmarian uses and tries to use this pressure and saying that, okay, I won't get that aggressive. I'm okay with sitting and waiting for you to decide what you want to do.
Sure.
And that's actually the upside of playing the Benoni. Your moves are fairly simple. You just want to put pressure on white's center, and it's easy to play, although probably you're objectively worse.
Interesting.
So queen b8, king h2, rook b4, putting some pressure. Knight d1, protecting this pawn, and now kind of preparing this bishop d2 move.
Yeah, also, of course, the a6 pawn is now threatened, now
Yes.
that the b pawn has been defended.
Yes, bishop b5. But to be honest with you, this bishop didn't really come here to defend. It came here to go bishop c4 and get really active, or potentially exchange this knight off so the b2 pawn can be taken.
Yeah, it feels like black is making some progress in
Yes.
these past few moves.
Rook a1, bishop b3, rook a4. Now getting another pair of rooks off the board. Takes, queen b6. And with more and more exchanges, black's position is getting more and more comfortable. Because of this protected passed pawn, this actually might become a vice in the future.
Might become what?
A vice?
A vice, got it.
Yes. So knight e3, hoping to either build some ghost threats
Yeah, white
or
is
go to
is
c4.
starting to eye up these dark squares
Yes.
around the black king.
Knight f6.
I was kind of
Yeah.
expecting even some like g4, g5 push in the future for white.
Yeah, although that's kind of a no-go at the moment, as this
Yeah,
knight
the f4 square
might
Can't-
become a
can't be
monster
left
there.
behind.
And also, after that, typically you can go bishop e5, and then this knight will be stationing there forever.
Ah.
And this is
Yes.
very pleasant for black.
Well, if you play bishop e5, for example, in this position, I might be able to capture it.
You might, but I might even capture with the d pawn just to make sure that.
Yeah, it's a strong knight,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I'm usually the white player in positions like these, and if I can ever force my opponent to play d takes c, I'm usually very, very happy with my d pawn.
Yeah, you're probably right, but because of this knight on f4, I'd still prefer in both cases. And also,
Yeah.
again, another hail for the Banco play. c4 again would come knight d3,
Right.
and I'd rather be black.
Yeah, fair enough.
This bishop is entombed, just staring at all those white pawns. So knight e3 was played, knight f6. I think this is more, it's not that black cared about exchanging, it's like he wanted to put more pressure on e4, also getting rid of these ghost threats.
Yeah.
Queen c1. Queen c1 feels a little bit too normal to my taste.
Yeah, I'm not sure I see the tactical justification behind that. Is e4 just hanging after
Queen c1, actually, there might be some tactics there. Takes, and the ghost threats actually become real.
Oh no,
Yes.
disaster.
Because let's say queen f5, check,
Yes.
boom.
This looks
Knight
dangerous.
f6.
This looks dangerous.
And this is the end,
Yes.
my friend. the end.
Yes, no argument here.
So ghost threats are good things, and it sometimes is useful to defend against them because they might become real.
Yeah. So what happened in the game?
H5 was
Just
played.
H5.
So actually kind of being worried about these G4 stuff. Also, now knight E4 would be possible because there are no knight G4 tricks anymore.
Right, definitely.
So G4, as you predicted, takes, knight G4. And to be honest, when black had to take on G4 with the knight, I kind of feel, okay, I think black did get a decent kind of position. He got a fighting game, and I'm not sure that black is worse anymore.
Well, yeah, we saw, black kind of make this long bishop maneuver over to b3, where the bishop now stands a lot stronger than it stood on a square like c8 or d7. And there's this latent pressure on this b pawn on the b file, whereas white's plans have seemed to have faltered slightly, right?
Yes. So no wonder Svirts was way more under in time. He had like seconds.
Yeah.
While Smiryan had like 20, 30 minutes on the clock. That's what I'm telling you. It's much easier to play the black side. For white, you have to come up with plans, but it's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, understandable. So how did the game continue?
Knight G4 takes, bishop D4. But it turns out this is a bit too aggressive. In fact, taking was good enough and bringing the queen back. And after you do that, you have a potential A pawn. Not a real... So if the queen actually enters on f6, there's no real reason to fear mate for black.
Right.
So I would fancy black's chances, and I would probably take black.
In this position?
Yeah.
Interesting. Once again, I want to play this move g5 here.
Okay.
And really lock down on that square that you just mentioned,
okay.
f6.
So queen e7.
And, yeah, I'll probably... eventually, I think I have to play this f4 move to control e5. I'll do it now, I guess.
Actually, your rook is a little bit unprotected, so I might just take you.
Okay, so I'll start with queen e3. I'll start with queen e3.
Okay. Okay, if I said Albert is my favorite pawn, I shall push it. Push it real good.
Interesting. So I guess what I was trying to say is, white can still try to find some counterplay on the king's side. Eventually, I want to play something like rook h1 and king g1 and queen h3, and but this a pawn does look quite strong.
Well, what I'm saying here that it's not a huge threat. So if I ever get my queen on the long diagonal, either through queen e5 or the slower version, I don't see you checkmating me.
Right.
So probably bishop takes was a better option, as this allowed a huge move for Daro that he actually missed.
Yeah, and what was that?
Any ideas? It's a spectacular move.
Okay.
So I challenge you, viewers, to find it.
All right. The viewers have been challenged. I guess I've been challenged as well.
You are challenged as well.
My instinct just says to play queen h6 here, but then maybe I'm running into a lot of the same problems that I just was.
Your instinct is like Daro's instinct, because he did play queen h6.
Okay, playing like Daro, not so bad for me.
Not so bad, not so bad. It's a normal move, but there was a spectacular move here.
Spectacular move.
That you just
might
reject.
Might it be rook e3?
Yes. Rook e3.
All right.
Because if
I've still got something left in me, Dennis.
Yes. So you're getting better and better at puzzles, Caleb.
Yes, hopefully.
So if takes...
Nowhere to go but up.
Takes, which you would never take. If you're any type of fianchetto player, you would never let this bishop do damage to your king.
Of course.
And it's not surprising that after queen h6, I'm going to take all your pawns and mate you.
Fair enough.
So rook e3 would have been like a huge move. And because of potential attacks on b3, which is a rarity, usually this bishop is on d7, white wins just enough tempi to go rook h3. Let's say c4, rook h3, rook e5, but that's not helping you because I'm going to chase you away and a checkmate on h8.
Interesting. And I guess this also points out the difference between playing a move like rook h1 over rook e3.
Yes.
With rook h1, you can get the rook on the h file, but then you have to put this king onto the uncomfortable g1 square in order to open it up.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't give you these options like f4.
Yeah. And Rook e3 is that typical move that Tal would make in a
Yes.
heartbeat. He'd say, okay, how can I win immediately?
Right.
Karpov would play queen h6 because he says, okay, I'm not sure, and I wouldn't start thinking that I should be winning here.
Yeah, fair enough.
But with an optimist like Tal, rook e3 would be just expected to happen.
okay.
So queen h6
queen
was played.
H6.
It's not a bad move, but it's kind of a shame not to see rook e3 on the board.
Mhm.
Queen h6 takes, queen d8, g5, queen e7, queen f8. And this is the maneuver I was saying, that the queen will eventually find its way to the long diagonal, and it's going to be fine for black.
Right.
Rook a1 takes, bishop c4. And this time, because the pawn is not on a4 defended on with the bishop on b3, this pawn structure is still kind of uncomfortable for black. So there is still a hope for an advantage for white here.
Yeah, there's some fluidity for
Yeah.
white, right? There's maybe I'm going to play e5, maybe I'm going to play f5, depending on
Yes, on the
structure.
circumstance. And it's not a big deal if you go f5, because I can't really do much with the e5 square.
Yeah.
If I put my king there, the rook there, that doesn't really do anything special.
You can imagine something like white playing f5 and then f6, and all of
Yes.
a sudden there's some very serious threats
Yes.
against the black king again.
But I feel objectively this should be fine for black,
Mhm.
because this a pawn can become strong if needed, and there is some pressure on e4. Maybe bishop d3 is a move.
Right.
Potentially, and with the king so close to this pawn, and it's probably going to be able to stop a d6, d7 push if e5 ever happens.
Mhm. And so this is the current position?
Yes, this is the current position.
All
Oh,
right.
let me update there. Bishop d3 was played, rook a4, and c4 was played.
Interesting.
So
I guess we should, let the players continue
Yes.
working on this endgame. Why don't we take a quick look at the B pairings, and then I think we actually have some exciting news in that key matchup there at the bottom,
Yes.
which we will talk about shortly.
Yeah.
So Manuel Petrosian was paired against Steven Zirk. Denis Kadric has drawn his game against Victor Michalewski. Aram Hakobian is paired against Alexander Fear. Yasser Quesada Perez won his game against Amon Hamilton, catapulting him into the clear second place behind Jack Shimbuliak. And then Jack continues to get it done in our key matchup of the day against Avetic Grigorian. He actually has already won this game, putting him at an astounding 3 out of 3. Once again, going to be clear first ahead of his competitors. And I think we actually have Jack ready to come in and talk to us about his game. So why don't we take a look at his game and get him in the studio, Dennis?
all right, then guess what opening was it?
A Benoni?
Yes.
Incredible.
So this is the day of the Benoni, but maybe not a field day for the Benoni. e6, takes, d6, and as Caleb already mentioned, this is not the best version ever, because white is not forced to go g3, bishop g2. Can play, this was the old main line, e4 was the old main line, say g6, bishop d3, bishop g7, knight f3, castles, h3, and there were many, many fantastic games with b5, and but white was usually slightly better. But actually we have Jack here.
Hello.
Hello. So were you surprised to see Benoni today?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of?
Yeah, I was more expecting like King's Indian,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't really prepare for Benoni.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, takes d6. Were you considering any other moves apart from going for the most principled bishop f4?
No, I mean
Mhm.
it was like the only lines
Mhm.
that I knew, so
Oh,
I just
okay.
played it.
Yeah. I just mentioned to Caleb early on that all the Soviet grandmasters and Russian grandmasters would say, go knight f3, bishop f4, and the Benoni is done. Bishop f4, a6. Most of the times people go a4.
Yeah, a4 is the main line
Yes.
here. I had some ideas after
Mhm.
e4.
Mm-hmm. So e4, b5, that's the most principled way as far as I
Yeah.
know. Or maybe sometimes there's knight h5 stuff. I've seen Judah Polgar play something like that.
Yeah.
b5, bishop e2, e5,
E5, yeah, and here it was very interesting. Like he
Mhm.
played knight h5
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know this move. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just knew if you take on e5, I take with a knight, and this position is with a good advantage for white.
I guess you
Yeah,
get your
then-
bishop there,
Yeah, and
start
then-
pushing, and
Yeah.
this is just a joyride.
Yeah, knight h5 was very interesting, and I guess I didn't play well here after
Mm.
knight h5. I
Mhm.
went bishop e3
Mhm.
which was the most natural move,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess bishop g5 was better,
Mm-hmm.
and still the position is pretty complicated after bishop g5 because there is f6. Yeah, and maybe like bishop h4.
Bishop h4.
Yeah, is an interesting move, but here black should be fine, I guess. Like
Yeah.
takes knight e5, knight f4. Yeah.
And there's some threats, and this knight is pretty strong there.
Yeah.
So you played bishop e3, which looks like a very normal move.
Yeah, but
Just
apparently here black is completely fine.
Mm-hmm.
So he took on e5, bishop c5, rook e8, and here I wasn't sure what to do because initially I thought that after d6 I would have a good advantage, but then after I started calculating, it wasn't clear for me what to do after, let's say, like knight d7. I thought if I go b4, then bishop b7, and it's not very clear how I'm gonna proceed because then knight f4 is pretty annoying, the rook c8, and everything starts hanging. So it's
Yeah,
not
this looks actually very comfortable for black.
Yeah.
Because your pawn is blocked comfortably with the knight on d7.
Yeah.
So knight d2. What was the idea behind knight d2?
knight d2. I'm not sure about this move. Probably it's,
Mhm.
it's like a bad move.
But what's
The idea was to put the knight on e4 and then to d6.
Mm.
Yeah, but then after knight d7,
Mhm.
bishop e3, I didn't really see knight f6. I thought knight f6 was not possible because of knight e4. But then after he played knight f6, I realized that there is b4, and like so I cannot play it. And then like I have to exchange on f6, and my d5 pawn will fall.
I see. So you played queen b3,
Yeah,
defending
queen
the
b3.
pawn. Knight b6. Yeah, it's getting a little uncomfortable because they're encircling your pawn. Bishop f3,
Yeah,
bishop
bishop
f5.
Knight e4. Yeah,
Knight
here
e4.
he took on e4.
Take.
And here it was a very interesting moment. He had two choices. Like he played bishop takes e4, but instead he could have played knight c4, which is very interesting. And after bishop takes f5, g takes f5, I thought a4, rook b8, 8 takes b5, 8 takes b5, and I was considering rook a6, and I thought that my position is fine here. And like f4, I thought bishop c1. But then I checked it with computer and it says that black is better here. So I was like,
Well, I mean, I would agree with you that practically you still have a decent position
Yeah.
and a chance to push this pawn. So it
Yeah.
might not be that simple.
yeah.
So bishop e3, bishop takes e4, excuse me, happened, knight takes, bishop takes. This was a very good move, getting rid of that active beast on b6, which was about to hop to c4.
Yeah, because here another problem is that I cannot take on e4 because he has queen takes d5.
Yeah.
And then if I take on b6, he takes on e4.
Yeah, there's also a nice little tactic here, because the e4 knight is hanging. So white would lose a pawn. Okay, so queen b6, knight e4, and suddenly d6 is a real threat now.
Yeah, but still his position is pretty decent here, and he played very well, I think. He played queen d4, rook e1, rook e d8, and then queen c4. Yeah, and here in this position, I consider two moves. Like queen f3 is the move that I played, and also another move was g4.
g4, interesting.
Yeah, g4's the idea is to kind of get this block post on e4, so the idea is to play g5. But here I wasn't really sure if it's like good enough. Like after queen takes b3, I take b3. I wasn't really sure about this endgame because let's say he plays f6, then he has like king f7, bishop f8, f5 idea. So like it might get double-edged. So like I didn't want to go for this.
Yeah, you're right. This does look edged. But also this g4 move is very super interesting.
Yeah.
Usually you don't play a g4 when the queens are still on the board. Actually, that kind of makes me wonder if queen c8 is an idea. Probably not, because you just go h3.
Yeah.
And then the same thing, d6. Okay, so you sacked the pawn and you said, Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
played d6. And I thought that like I cannot be worse here
Uh-huh.
because my pawn is very strong. But then apparently, I mean, he played very well, and
So
at some point
F5.
he could have just got almost winning
Uh-huh.
position. Like queen g3 was a mistake apparently, but I didn't really like see his idea. I thought like after queen g3, if he takes on on b2, I go d7. And here I didn't see bishop d4, but
Uh-huh.
bishop d4 is a very strong move here, and after bishop d4, I guess I'm losing. And we both didn't see this move.
So rook a8 was played, and
yeah, rook
then
a8
you're taking
was
control.
just a blunder, yeah.
Because now
like I
this
just-
knight is stationing there forever.
Yeah, because he played like very well, and here
Mhm.
I just got lucky. Because after rook c8, before like the position is almost winning for me.
So queen f7, d7, and this is very uncomfortable, especially that this rook is going to get harassed very soon.
Yeah, but
Rook-
later in the game he still had some chances.
Rook c6, rook d6, f4, queen g5, and this is a very nice little intermezzo, just giving away the rook, because then this pawn would be very, very strong. Bishop f6, queen f4, bishop c3.
Yeah, bishop
Queen
c3 is a very nice trick. Like if there is no bishop c3, he's probably losing. And I cannot trade queens because his king will get closer to the d pawn. So like if I take on f7, he just takes. I take on c6, he takes on e1, and then b4 is hanging, and I cannot really promote the pawn because he has king e7 move.
Yeah, and you might actually soon getting into slight trouble, maybe. But your
Yeah.
pieces are so active that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, that's why I decided to go queen h4, and here he could have survived. Like if he took on d6, like he took on e1, which was a mistake. Yeah, but if he went for this line, here after rook f1, he has bishop b4, so now I have to promote a queen, so like queen e8, let's say, or queen c7, yeah. And after he takes on c5, I promote a queen, we trade on d8, and this position is not clear at all, like it's very double-edged.
Yeah.
It's like playing for 3 results here.
So, unfortunately for Grigorian, he went for bishop takes e1, but this was just losing.
Yeah, rook c6, and actually, like I didn't see like queen d8 was a much easier
Uh-huh.
win because I didn't see knight e6 check,
Uh-huh.
but it was completely winning. Because I thought that after queen d8 there was a very nice line, queen d8, king g7, and I didn't see knight e6, of course.
Mhm.
Knight e6 is winning, but then I thought queen f6.
When
Here.
here with
Here queen f6, he takes, take rook f6, d8 queen, and then he takes bishop takes takes on f2. Yeah, and here it's not easy at all. Like if I go like king h1, let's say he takes on c5.
and this is
Yeah,
checkmate.
and there's a checkmate.
And
So
even
here,
if you would check, I block you.
yeah,
That's very nice.
so here he's fine.
So rook takes c6 was maybe the best technical move because queen d8 could get murky. Not that in a practical game you can't sense that it's
Yeah,
plus 15. So rook takes c6, rook f8, rook
yeah, and here
f6.
after rook f6.
Which is a nice
Well,
finish as takes, and you promote. But it's a check, so there's no bishop f2. So,
Yeah,
so 3 out of 3 on a roll.
the tournament is going really well for me.
Yeah.
Got very lucky today.
But I mean, you fought well. You found some good counter chances. How you feeling?
Feeling good. I'm gonna prepare for the next game.
All right. Well, best of luck for the
Thank
next
you.
round, and go 4 out of 4 if you can. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, so let's take another peek back to the A group game between Smirin and Dariusz Swirtz. So there have been some developments there. We left it around here. Rook a4 was played, defending this pawn. Rook b8. So you can see the theme. Black is trying to get active in the Benoni, and Smirin knows that. c4, rook a8, and this might look strange to you at first sight, but the point is that black wants to chase this rook away and then start pushing the pawn. So this is just temporarily bad.
Yeah. Once again, I just want to say big congratulations to Jack Shimbulik.
Yeah, it's
He's
a
playing
big-
some very impressive chess this
Big
time.
result and a very nice finish in today's game. Rook
Yeah.
f6 was very stylish.
Yeah, impressive tactics. An impressive calculation too, you know. Somehow it's always easier to find your opponent's ideas rather than your own, but he seemed to really have a good handle on all of the lines.
Actually, I was more impressed with his g4 move, which I think was a very aggressive positional move.
Yeah.
You'd think it would be like tactical, but it was more like stabilizing the knight on e4.
Yeah, a lot of understanding.
So
you were talking about this endgame. So
Yeah, so king f2, a5, and as I'm saying, Smirin predicted that he will be able to start pushing that pawn, and this is a dream come true for a Benoni player,
Right.
that actually you get to push your A and C pawn, which doesn't usually happen. You usually use in 25 moves, and you cry why you played the opening in the first place.
I can definitely relate to just being super happy once I reach some like equalish endgame. Playing the Carol Khan myself, that's often the dream.
And now White did play e5, but
Okay.
it's a different ball game as the king is in the center just
Yeah.
to block.
I felt like a lot of White's pressure was coming from the fact that it was a little unclear if the Black King was going to be able to contribute or not. But
Yeah, the Black King originally in the middle game was under some slight pressure.
yeah,
And as we mentioned, that rook e3 move would have put Smirin in a tough spot. But in this endgame, I actually fancy Ilya Smirin's chances. And my prediction is that with 26 minutes against 10, the legend might strike.
it could happen.
And-
One question I have here is,
Yes.
can White just play Rook H1 and say,
Rook h1.
you're not going to invade on this H file, and I don't see how you're going to make progress.
Maybe I go the other side, trying maybe to go rook c and attack the c4 pawn.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'll just maneuver my bishop. I'll play bishop, let's say E4 rather than F3.
Let me see. Let me try a3.
Ah, okay. You're coming quite quickly.
Yes, this
It's a
pawn
little
is quite
frightening.
quick. So if you would go rook b1, I say a2 and
Yeah.
ask some questions.
Am I able to play Rook A1 though?
You do. Can I play a2?
Bishop C2 was my idea.
Bishop c2. Okay.
I don't
So
know.
probably you survive.
That's all I
Because
wanted.
takes rook b4, and I have ample play with black, so I'm not in danger because anytime you would go here, I can check you, and if I start taking stuff,
Yeah, I agree. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
win with white here, but I think that this might be a very forcing
Yeah.
line to go down.
Yes.
Because if black doesn't go for this, then I don't see how he's going to make any progress.
actually I wanted to show this move that the engine showed, and the engine wants to play bishop b1. This is the cutest move I've ever seen.
Of course.
So,
with
of
the
course
pin.
you would put your bishop on free on b1.
Why, how else are you supposed to attack A2?
Yes, exactly.
You
That's
just go
true.
to B1, the bishop moves diagonally.
So it's kind of hilarious that this bishop cannot move and it's dead there. The bishop b1 is a real star move.
Yes, really taking advantage.
And if takes, which would be the natural way to punish white, you can take on a2. You can go rook a8 because I would take your bishop.
Yes.
So
Interesting stuff.
they're still thinking at this position. Switch is thinking whether he should go rook h1 or not.
Well, I'm not sure what his other option is. He has to find some way to find counterplay if he
Yes.
doesn't stop black from invading, and
Yes.
I don't know where that would come from.
Yes. And but I do think that Smirin is calling the shots, and he has chances of actually winning the game.
Yeah, could be. Maybe what Daro's thinking is rook h2 isn't actually that big of a threat. What if white just plays like rook e1, and then are you really going to come into h2?
Yes, I attempt to.
Okay, I'll simply play rook e2 was my original idea.
Rook e2, let me attack your pawns.
Yeah, are you getting anywhere though? Rook f2, I see.
Rook f2.
And now you're going to take, and my
Now I
c pawn
take
is
your
hanging.
c pawn, yes.
Yes, very sad.
Yes.
Well, that's why I wanted to play rook h1. However,
So-
Daro has other ideas with something else, and it looks like the players have agreed to a draw.
Interesting. So probably they kind of assume that rook h1, rook back, and they'll repeat forever.
Right.
So I would have thought that Ilya Smirin should have pushed a little bit more. Not that the position isn't objectively drawn,
Fair. Yeah.
but if we look at the position, it's clearly black who's calling the shots. All right.
So I think Lenderman is actually looking quite good in his game. If we want to check that out
Lenderman.
in the A group.
Let me see. So Linderman has quite a strong passer there.
Ah,
And
yeah,
that-
the powerful B pawn.
Yes. And that knight isn't really doing much. But actually, let's go back and see this position for a second. So it was a typical Philidor where white took on d8,
Right.
king takes d8, and it's kind of funny. I had this position with black
Yes.
against none other than a guy named Wesley.
Wesley. Oh, I know a couple chess players named Wesley.
Exactly. So that Wesley, whom I suppose all of you are familiar, played this against me, and here Lenderman found Wesley's maneuver, what he played against me. And it's kind of interesting because you'd think that black is okay. You have the majority here, and if you get to exchange this bishop for the c3 one, you'd have a good time.
Yeah, bishop e6, a very natural move.
Yes.
However,
This knight d2 maneuver, jumping on c5. So the big problem with this king on e8 is that you can only go to e7 because you already moved the king to d8, so it can only go forward.
Yes.
Can't castle. That's illegal. And if the knight jumps to, let's say, c5, any check will be deadly.
yes,
So
definitely
see.
don't want to end up with your king pinned to the back rank in a situation like this.
this is practically lost because you cannot really develop your pieces anymore.
You can already,
Go f4, f5.
yeah, just break it open in the center. The white rooks are perfectly placed, and the black rooks are confined to the wings.
Yes. So a4 was played, saying, no, 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 you're not going to b3.
Yes.
But then again, another Wesley plan that he again played against me, and that was the first time I was really impressed with a player.
Yes, is this a3 preparing knight a2 to b4?
Yes, that is very, very close to the plan.
Oh,
that
maybe c4 as well.
yes, in c4, and then things just collapse.
Yeah. This is a maneuver that you see on the king side sometimes.
Yes.
In order to remove a powerful defender on f6, white will play h3 in these e4, e5 lines, and then knight h2 to g4 to take off that piece. But it's interesting to see it in effect on the queen side. That's not something that's very normal to me.
And actually, knight a2 is such a high-class move because it prepares to attack the c6 pawn. And this is why you need to show your Buddhist side when playing chess.
Yes?
You don't necessarily play a move a tempo. You kind of wonder, what is the weakness in my opponent's camp? What if it's the c6 pawn? How can I reach it? Well, let's bring the knight over there.
Yeah, very straightforward chess, but very difficult to stop as well.
But it's a deep chess. It's
Yeah.
a deep way of playing this game. Knight e6, c4, a bit more cavemanish. c4 is a bit more cavemanish.
Yeah, what I meant to say was logical chess,
Yes.
right? His
Well,
moves
yeah,
are
it's
all
more-
for the same purpose.
Yes,
They're
it's
all-
more of logic chess. It's
advancing.
not brute force.
Yeah,
So bishop d7, but when Lenderman sees a weakness, he bounces at it. And now the knight goes back and decides that this pawn is the weakness now. So I'm going there.
interesting.
Rook b8, knight f3, and says hello to the d7 bishop. And this king is still stuck in the center, suffering. And the big problem is that knight d5 might come, and that will be the beginning of the end, yet again.
I did want to mention,
Yes.
you said knight a2, and this is really high-class chess.
Yes.
And I'm not sure that's a sentence that's ever been said before, Dennis. I think that might be original to you. I don't think
Okay.
anyone has ever described
Okay,
knight
copyright
a2
high-class
as being
move.
high-class.
Yes. High class move, copyright by me.
All
You
right.
heard it here. So b4, and this is kind of sign of a desperation. Takes, knight d5. And the problem is, just like in the Benoni, it was easier for black to play chess.
Right.
It's much easier to play this with white. Because
Yeah.
all your moves are just so logical. And that is why I praise knight a2 so much. Because after that move, all of the moves are just easy.
Right. And meanwhile, black is kind of, I think, floundering a little bit. Like
Yes.
you said, some desperation here.
Yes. Bishop a6. Look at all these Lenderman happy moves.
Yes.
Rook b8 takes, bishop c4. And these moves might not be the objectively best, but they are easy. He says, I have the bishop pair, you have a weakness.
Yeah, just putting his pieces on good squares.
What is there to complain about here for white? Nothing, because you take the pawn. King e7, let's liquidate. I'm up a pawn, I have the bishop pair. There's no way things could go wrong. So let's fast forward a bit. More exchanges. And Lenderman is a good technical player.
Absolutely.
He never rejects the option of exchanging stuff when he's up material. Bishop c6. But one thing for sure, he knows he wants to keep his bishop
Right.
because a rook endgame might get drawish.
Yeah, there's also tactics going on here,
Yes.
right? If knight takes, if something like, I don't know,
Yeah. If
g3 and then knight takes d5, then oh yeah,
It's
well
one-
this tactic as well controls g2.
Yes.
But a tactic for black would be if g3, there's knight takes d5, and then this
Yes.
rook check picks up the pawn.
Yes, and g3 instead. So if g3 then takes, and you pick up the pawn. But in any case, why go for that endgame?
Yeah, just keep
King
the bishop
d5,
on the board.
king c3. And this is again good technique. You defend all your pieces. Why give false hope to your opponent? Rook b3 check, king c4. Lenderman knows that the king is the strongest piece in the endgame. And then he says, Bob,
Push it all the way home.
let's go.
Yes.
Bob, you have one job, and that is to promote. Knight f4, b5. And even though pawns are equal now, nothing equals Bob.
No. I take Bob over all three of the king's
Yes.
side pawns.
All hail Bob.
Yes. Okay.
Rook a1, rook b2, and now Bob is getting stronger by the hour.
Bob's your uncle, Dennis.
Yeah, Bob's your uncle. King b5, f5 takes. And sadly, when things go wrong, they go horribly wrong.
Yes.
You can't even win a piece when it's given for you for free.
When it rains, it pours, as they say.
Takes, rook e2. He says, Alex says, no, passerang, you can't get through anymore. Just showing all the French that I know. King d6.
These grandmasters are very mean when they're winning an endgame.
Yes,
They
they
say,
are.
no, your king, it's over there.
Yes.
It was too close. Move it further away. Your knight, you can't move that guy either.
And probably
And,
the end is nigh as Alex is about to capture that guy on d8. And
Yes.
then Bob does the dirty work, promotes, and then Bortnik is probably going to resign pretty soon.
And yeah, if a move like rook b2, there's simply king c7 for white,
Yes.
right? Just defending this pawn. No hope of a rook and bishop versus
Yeah,
rook.
no to the idea of a rook and bishop
Of
endgame.
course, yeah.
Just king c7, and after taking this knight, Bob, as we said, just does the business.
Yes. All right, so that's a big win for Alex.
Yeah,
how many
that would
points
be-
does that
Yeah,
that
let's
bring
take a
Alex
look.
to?
How would Lenderman do after a potential win here?
So that brings him actually to 2 out of 3. So he would be definitely in contention for this leading position in the Group A.
Alex is reaching to play the killer move of king c7.
And it's on the board, we see.
And Bortnik is about to say bye-bye to this game, I guess.
Yeah. Well, why don't we take a quick look at the Durabali game against Melkumian, because those are the 2 of the leaders in Group A. So if either of these players can win, I think they move into sole first in Group A.
So in this game, Durabelli has a nice little pony on d5.
Very nice pony.
A bit nicer than the counterpart. Like knight on e5 is not that bad, but this dude can jump around to e6,
Yeah, it looks very
attacking a
reasonable.
real weakness. Now you'd say, but what about this pawn? Isn't that a weakness? Well, not if it's covered up by a knight on d5.
Right. And with the knight on e6, it's also very difficult to get a rook to the d file.
Yes.
It's, as I say, it's only a weakness if your opponent can attack it.
Yes. So probably a good plan is to bring this rook over, force this knight to go back. Actually, we can do it maybe. Oh no, because king e3 was just played.
So black to move.
Black to move.
That's
but
the good news for black.
That's the good news for black, but I don't see how black can stop white from coming up with a long-term plan.
Yeah, for example, you might start with king king e3 was just played.
Yes.
A little
Let's
confused
say
why white
Rook c6.
took the time to do this rather than just play knight f4 to e6 immediately.
Well, this is again the way to play chess. Slowly, steadily. If you have the advantage, no rush.
Okay.
You can always go knight f4, knight e6.
All right.
You can do it anytime.
I want
Any
to do
moment.
it now. But okay.
Okay.
We'll bring the rook to the c file.
And this looks fairly glorious for white. And you don't really want to go c4 because you might build a center for white. And if I can start rolling my e and f pawns,
yeah.
it's going to be the end.
It's also worth noting this pawn on g7 is another major weakness in
And
black camp.
we just heard that Alex just won his game.
Yeah, absolutely. No surprises there. So this brings Alex to 2 out of 3, as we said. So he's now tied with Daro for
Yes.
first place. And it really all comes down to this last game, Durabali Malkumian here, to determine who the leaders will be in Group A.
So let's take a look at Ray Robson's game as he's trying to bounce back
Oh,
from
absolutely.
a loss.
I think he had a good position earlier on this game.
Yes. So rook c6. It's interesting that every game we look at, the king is boxed in.
Yes.
Again, this time, it's white's king that's boxed in the corner.
Well, if black isn't careful, he'll find his king in a pretty tight box of checkmate. After
Yeah,
rook
this
takes
would be
e6.
also a tight spot for this guy,
Yes.
because you can't really go anywhere. So Ray said, okay, I'll defend that pawn.
Very responsible.
But in rook and pawn games, you want to be with the more active pawns.
Yeah, the more active pawns and,
And
the more
the
active,
active
king,
king.
as well.
And just looking at this position, you'd say, I want to be with black.
I definitely agree here.
So g5, h4, hoping that something would happen. But because of this unfortunate placement of this king, h5 would never work because you almost get checkmated while losing all your assets.
Quite difficult.
So rook takes e3, rook c2, rook f3. Again, you had your last chance of running away, but no more.
Back in your box.
Back in the box. And now this king is like a man in the box.
Now, once again, these grandmasters, they're quite mean to each other in
Yes.
these endgames.
They're pretty mean, but sometimes gracious. They do play the Benoni time to time.
Very generous stuff.
Yes. Rook f2, hoping to get this king out of it. But white is already down a pawn, so Robson says, that's fine with me.
He just takes, and now...
King f4 and activating the king. So
Yeah.
he's happy to exchange this pawn for these two, because a connected pass pawn is a theoretical win.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, not only is white down a pawn here, but the fact that black's pawns are all connected like this makes advancing the black pawns quite easy, and advancing the white pawns is going to be quite difficult, especially with the king stuck on the second rank here.
Yeah, rook b8, e5, and this cluster of pawns are very, very hard to stop, as they're going to invade white's position like they're the Borg.
Yes. And just tactically, it seems like things aren't working out for white.
Yes.
You can't play something like rook f8, king g4, rook e8, because I will once again be taking both of your king's side pawns,
Yes.
and you only get one of mine.
Yes, so what Caleb is talking about is this line. And it doesn't matter that my king is far away, because you can't ever take this pawn, because this e pawn will make a run for it.
Connected passes are almost always good
Yes.
enough.
So actually, that's what happened. Rook f8 was played, king g4. Robson is having an afternoon meal on the king side.
Well,
Rook f6, king h5.
I'll let you wrap up your thoughts
Okay.
on this game. I believe we actually have Alexander Lenderman in to talk about
Marvelous.
his big win in Group
Marvelous.
A. Probably launching him into the leader position.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
so
a
I'll get out
big,
of the
big
studio
win
here.
for Alex. So this will be a big thing for me, because most of the time I get interviewed by Alex Lenderman, and this time it's payback time. So in this position, this is just great for Ray, because these pawns are just unstoppable. Meanwhile, we have Alex setting up. So I do think that these pawns are just way too strong. There's no way for white to survive this. But meanwhile, we have Alex Landerman here with us. Happy
thanks.
to see you here on the other side.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, I remember I was interviewing you most of the time when you were, winning some big games at the Norm tournament.
Yes. So, can you get us through the key points of your game? It was very nice, actually. I was very impressed with your knight maneuvers.
Well, I think I played pretty decently in the opening. I think I got a very promising position right away. I mean, I was a little bit surprised with a few early opening choices he made in my preparation. So my preparation maybe wasn't as deep as I would like, but then somehow quickly my position became very good, and I think my position was more or less winning at some point, but then I'm quite embarrassed about my technique.
Did you expect the Philidor to show up?
I was more expecting the move knight d7 here, because
okay.
that's what the move he more often plays. And I figured the main reason he does knight d7 more often is because he doesn't like e5, d takes e5. Otherwise, there's no other necessarily reasonable explanation to play knight d7, because white can also just go knight f3, transposing to e5. So I figure he probably doesn't like the endgame, so I prepared the endgame in that case that he does that. And
Deep chess psychology in the works. So, d takes e5, takes, and actually, you brought up some painful memories for me, because I played this with black against Wesley So, and I vividly recall knight d2, knight b3 maneuvers,
yeah.
and did you know about that game?
Well, I saw some sample games that I liked from the white side, just in case he actually does go into this. Actually, even after bishop c4, I more expected bishop e6 from him. But of course, I looked at some games with king e8, and I figure, okay, it's slightly more pleasant, and probably he's a tactical player, so get an endgame like that, I'll be comfortable.
And you get the young guy in the endgame, should be a win.
Well, I mean, he's a very experienced player. I mean, I actually
Obviously, I'm joking.
No, it wasn't that easy, but somehow it seemed like my position became very good very quickly. I'm not sure exactly where he went wrong, but I'm guessing this, well, b5 is probably okay, but I'm guessing this whole a5, a4 thing probably is a bit too ambitious, although I'm not sure if maybe I'm slightly better here anyway. But I mean, the critical moment was, can he play b4? But I didn't think he can, because knight a4, knight takes e4, and I have many moves. I thought knight d2 is big compensation. Also, bishop d4 is very interesting. The point is he can't castle, right? That's the important thing to
I remember hating that in my game against Wesley. That
right, and I was
this
always
king is just terrible on e8 if you can't castle.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to open up the game, because I always knew that it's kind of a problem for black, a long-term problem. So, no, I know it's not roses for him, but I'm still surprised how good my position became so quickly.
Yeah, actually, that's why I was so impressed when I played that game. I thought that this is fine for black. 5 moves later, I can't move.
Yeah, no, I guess, no, it's not so easy, apparently, yeah. I mean, it seems like it should be close to equal for black, but somehow, yeah, you have to be very precise.
Yeah. And actually, I really loved your knight a2 move.
Oh, I was considering, instead of knight f8, I don't know how good it is, but I was considering bishop takes b5 quite seriously after knight f8. Bishop takes b5, c b5, knight b5, and then I either knight e6 or bishop b8, and then I go knight c4. And I thought this could also be, compensation.
Yeah.
But I just thought after knight a2 I'm still better, so I didn't see a reason to go for it. But I'm just wondering, whether I hope it wasn't like crushing or anything, but
It wasn't, but definitely I really like this move because you're eyeing all these weaknesses. It's kind of nice. All right, so take me to the key moments here.
Yeah, so knight f3 was important, because if I start with knight d5, he goes bishop a5, and okay, I'm still probably better, but it's not so easy. So knight f3 is an important move, building my harmony and kind of tying him down to the e5 pawn. And now I guess his position is already difficult, but it looks like he made the blunder b4. takes, rook takes, and then knight d5. And I think here I thought I'm just completely winning, and maybe for a second my brain relaxed because okay, he found a good defense, rook b7.
Breaking news, Fear won his first game. So the Benoni this time strikes. So it actually equalizes the score. Benoni is still back on the plate.
Yeah. So rook b7.
So back to the game?
Yeah, rook b7, bishop a6, rook b8. So now he wants, after knight c7, that my bishop hangs.
Yeah.
And so I took bishop c4, and I thought, okay, I'm winning a pawn, and he still can't castle, and I thought I'm just up a pawn with a much better game and more or less winning. But here, to his credit, he found some good moves. Knight e6, controlling the c5 square, and after knight e5, king e7. And here I was spending forever trying to figure out, like, really something knockout or really, consolidate like a really easy technical position. I couldn't do it. I couldn't find the...
What did you consider here? I'm curious what were the consolidating moves you were thinking of.
Well, I was considering bishop takes e6 quite deeply, king takes e6, and then I was trying to see if, moves like f4, knight d3 would lead to anything special, but I
but black does get really active this time.
Yeah. So it seemed not so clear, and it was a very committal move. Then I also considered, of course, knight takes d7. I considered f4 right away. And the problem is if I play, he can play rook c8, bishop e8 then. So it was, I probably missed something. I'm sure I had, could have played much better, like around like next couple of moves or so, because I feel like my position probably was more or less winning, but then I made it like a very difficult technical task, and I think at some point, it seemed unclear to me. I mean, if I'm even better. So it was
it's
very
interesting because suddenly you found yourself up a pawn in an opposite side castling game.
And so, and I was wondering now, maybe this whole idea of bishop a6 maybe wasn't best. Maybe I should have done something else. But still, it feels like something should be very strong here. I was looking forever. I couldn't find it.
But I still kind of like this.
Okay,
You're still exchanging off pieces.
Yeah.
You're up a pawn. You have the bishop pair.
Yeah.
So this objectively still feels very good.
Yeah, and here for a while I was considering also bishop d2, but then the problem was like there's a lot of situations where he can play a3 also.
Here?
Yeah, no, I don't know about here, but I mean somewhere. I mean, the point is I was considering bishop d2 for a while. But I thought rook e2 is maybe not so bad. I spent forever, but of course I missed the detail. So I'll show you. Rook b4.
Okay.
Rook c2. No, he played knight e5 first.
Yeah. Okay, knight e5.
Yeah, knight e5, bishop d5, and I forgot he can play knight f4 right away.
That's nice. Yes.
Yeah, no, then when I played bishop d5, I saw it. I mean, I still spent, out of 30 minutes, I spent like half my time, calculating this position. I couldn't figure it out. I mean, I really need to work on my technique apparently based on this game, because it was very bad that I let him back so much into the game where very much the result was in doubt, I thought, at some point.
Okay, so takes king e5, but at least I think you're taking a hold of the game again, because you realize that, okay, this is still your only asset.
Yeah. I was sort of expecting rook b6 here. I don't know. Maybe not rook b3 right away, but maybe rook b3 is also okay. But of course it looks a bit risky. Check, king c4, takes on g2, bishop a4, rook h3, b4.
But now you have an active king, so you did get at least something out of it.
I mean, at the moment, I was even thinking, if things go bad, I can even lose this game. But of course, no, it's unrealistic probably. But
the way a bit too much.
The way I was playing, you never know in chess, right? And he's a very resourceful player. So okay, rook a3, bishop c6. Yeah, and here I think what did he play here?
Knight f4.
I think that was just a blunder, because I think. No, wait. No, knight f4 is okay. Knight f4 is okay. Probably b5. And then knight e6 I think is a blunder, because I think he thought maybe I can play b6. Knight d4 he can play, but then I just go f4. So
he missed this idea of
I don't know for a fact that this is what he missed, but it could be that he...
No, probably yes, because b7 you could take this one. So knight d4, b7 you can take.
No, not, yeah, exactly, yeah.
So I think he saw this trick, but then missed, f4.
Yeah, because otherwise, in case instead of knight e6, if he goes rook, go back, one move.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of knight e6, if he goes rook a4 or something, I wasn't at all sure if I'm winning this, because or is it? No, or is it?
This still looks very nice with your king helping out.
No,
the pawn.
maybe it was rook a1 first. I don't remember, but
Okay, so rook a1.
yeah,
Even again b6,
yeah, rook b1.
b1, but now you can cover.
Oh, I'm forgetting what the line was, but I thought I saw something that, it's not so clear, but yeah, no, this is losing, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, even though objectively Bortnik has defended well, it's still kind of tough to defend this position.
Yeah, I
So
guess, yeah.
one slip was enough and you're already winning again.
Yeah, although even here, I had to work very hard. There's some very precise calculation I had to do. Knight d8, bishop d5.
Love this bishop controlling that knight on d8.
Yeah, so he played rook a1. I thought that's good.
Rook b2.
Yeah, I wanted to make king b4 work.
Mm-hmm.
King b4, rook b1, bishop b3. But then he goes, like, I think, what was it, king d6. And I wasn't so sure about that.
Mm-hmm.
So
It can get murky.
Murky, yeah. So I thought the other line is kind of murky too, but I thought it's more under control for me. So I played.
Yeah. But rook b2 feels like the good move.
Yeah, I guess. So rook c1, and then if I go king d3, he goes rook c8, and maybe he's defending. So I went king b5. Yeah, and I guess after f5, e takes f5 is important.
Yeah. Probably does make sense to start pushing the h-pawn.
Yeah, I guess
because
f5 is
this-
a blunder, yeah.
Yes, probably f5 is just helping this bishop. But again, I guess f5 was a blunder on his part anyways. Again, I think missing, maybe even, not sure. I'm not sure, I'm not convinced that he missed king takes d5, rook d2. Probably just didn't consider h5 for some reason.
Oh, no, well, I mean, I think he was just trying to create as many practical chances as I see. I mean, he was trying to, I noticed, based on the way he was playing, he was trying to play in a way to give me a lot of choices, and it was very unpleasant very often because he really is a good practical player. Like, he made me really always consider,
Work for it.
between a few choices, and here again, after f5, I have tons of moves I can play. f3, I can play ef, I can play rook b4. It's just, but
Yeah.
okay, eventually I decided ef, king d5, rook d2. I thought I'm winning,
Yeah.
although I wasn't 100% sure, but, and after king f5, yeah, I was happy to find rook e2 and king is cut off, and then I go rook e7 or rook e8, and looks like here I'm winning. Still had to do some precise calculation, but now I'm probably winning at least.
And again, the big problem that this knight is just stuck there.
But to tell you the truth, I didn't see most of it from far ahead. And the last calculation was nice finishing touch.
Yeah.
That at the end of all this, I have rook d6, and once I saw that, then
Yeah, and
I
now
was winning.
you even have shelter for the king and the pawn.
Yeah, well, even if I didn't, still I know how to win Lucina. So
Yeah, it's a big win for you. Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I'm still very impressed with this knight maneuvers, and I think in a practical game it's not that easy to come up with the exact best moves, but I think you did a good job. I like rook b2, rook e2 as well. Just if you get the chance, cut the king, and I felt it was a very good game. Like the way you outplayed him in the middle game, I think was pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, I thought the opening and early middle game was good. I mean, I typically struggle with that part, so I was happy with that. But yeah, my technique, definitely something left to be desired. So gotta work on that part.
So you won this game. Who you're playing next?
Alex Ipatov tomorrow.
So the Battle of Alexis. All right, with that.
Today I also played Alex, so
Yes. You never run out of Alex opponents. All right, so best of luck
thank you.
and hope for the best.
Thank you, Dennis.
So meanwhile,
Hi, my name is Ryan Chester, and I'm the development manager for the St. Louis Chess Club. I'm here to tell everyone about a golden opportunity that we have right now. We're selling golden tickets for $50 a piece. It's a 50-50 raffle. $5,000 will go to the Scholastic Chess Initiative for the St. Louis Chess Club, and $5,000 will go to a lucky winner. We're only selling 200 of these, and we've already sold many to grandmasters and all of our commentary team as well. So if you're interested, please call the Chess Club or go to our website on the homepage and buy a golden ticket there. Thank you and good luck.
So we're back with Alexander Fear.
Hi.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
Finally, you came back with a win.
Yeah, after 2 bad rounds, it
Yeah.
was time to win one.
I kind of saw you struggled a bit in the first rounds with some tricks. They tricked you with A4 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I felt that your positions were always okay, but then you ran into some tricks in both games.
Well, in the first round, the thing is that I tried to play something quite solid, and I got bored at some point.
Yeah, that's what I
And,
thought.
and I played
felt
some careless moves.
I felt that you were confident that this is a draw or should be equal,
Yeah.
and I felt that you just shuffled pieces and got unlucky that A4 worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today I tried to play something a bit more
Yes.
sharp.
And you defended the honor of the Benoni. You just tied the score in this tournament.
Today there are a lot of Benonis. huh?
Yes, lots of Benonis. I don't know this rage.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a bad practical choice, but I'm not sure if it's objectively the best. All right, so let's start from this position, and please help us go through the key moments.
Okay, I thought actually knight e4 was a really strange move because usually white wants to keep the pieces, no?
Yeah.
And exchanging one knight give more space for my pieces. So I thought after queen e7 I should be more or less fine.
Yeah.
And then things starts to go well, and I think b5 was a good move because
Good old banker style is back.
yeah. But after bishop c2 was really strange. I thought he would simply take on c4 when I takes c4, and after bishop e5, I thought I should be almost winning, but later after he plays knight g5, things starts to go
Crazy.
crazy.
And I mean, that's not surprising in a Benoni at all. Queen h4, knight e4 takes, knight g5.
So
that's
yeah, here's the thing. Well, I thought maybe he could try bishop h6. It was one of the options, and king g8 is possible. But I can also take on h6. That's
oh, you
another
can
idea.
sack the queen.
Yeah, and go with something like rook f8 or just take on h6, and the position is quite
And
interesting.
these bishops are quite strong.
Yeah, and after knight takes e5, I thought it should be more or less over, but then I misplayed something. Rook
f8
yeah, this.
is interesting. Okay, so the comp says there's something here. Oh, rook e1.
Okay, I didn't see that.
I'm not sure I'm convinced what's going on here. I just take, well, I don't know. I don't feel good about giving away this pawn.
Yeah, but
So-
okay, I take on b2 probably, and I defended the
Ah,
diagonal,
yeah, we
so-
can't, yeah, we
okay.
defend it.
So,
Still very
yeah.
murky.
Yeah,
So-
but I thought
yeah.
that it was winning after what I played, because I thought I would have bishop d3 later. Bishop g5 as well, queen d4, and knight h6. And here I thought I would go bishop d3, and probably is the best move anyway. But suddenly I saw that he has queen f7 ideas. Ah, no, not now, because
no,
now
no.
he has bishop f6 simply.
Yeah,
and
just
then
bishop
it's
f6.
After knight d5, I mean.
On knight d5, rook a1,
Yeah, here bishop
and bishop
d3.
d3.
But then I
Thought-
start to see all kind of ghosts here. Takes, king h8, and I could not see how to improve my pieces because my knight has to be on d5 to defend f6, and my queen should be on the diagonal. He can go like rook e1, something like that, and I could not find a plan.
Yeah, your king is basically stalemated.
Yeah,
Can't move.
I cannot take the bishop out from g5, and the knight from h6 is also there forever. So should be winning, but I start to
Yeah.
panic a bit. Probably I can just take on b2 in this position.
Not even convinced. Yeah, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, queen d3 was played.
Yeah, I thought that this was more solid because probably I could play in last case bishop e6 and just play the endgame
Yeah.
with 2 pawns up.
Yeah. Queen
So-
f2, bishop e4, but now deadly threats are showing.
But okay, I don't win so many pawns because later he can take something again on d6.
Takes. And you decided to go for this.
Yeah, I was already. I saw that I had 2 pawns up and I said, okay, enough.
Enough fun for a while.
But then I started to play badly here, I think, because it should be simpler to win this endgame. Probably I should just go g5 and h5 and don't care so much about the queenside pawns.
Yeah, just activating your
yeah.
extra 2 pawns.
I tried to put everything under control first, but then suddenly my pieces are all tied to the pawns.
Yeah, this knight is a little clumsy.
Yeah.
Always, mostly guarding. It's not too active, actually. Rook e5, bishop a3, rook d8.
And then okay, we played some moves, but later, at some point, I sacrificed this h7 pawn,
Uh-huh.
and I thought it would be easier to win. But after rook g7, I had knight a4. I thought I had g5. Okay, he cannot take on g5 because I exchanged on g5 and king b5 is winning. I'm in
up.
time to go to b3, yeah. And after king e4, I thought it was supposed to be knight c5, but the problem is that he can take king takes c5, rook g5, king b4, and I assume that my king is going to b3 and it will be easy win. But he can change the rooks and go king e3,
And this
and
is
king b4, king d2, king b3, king c1, and
this
there
is
is
a
nothing.
draw. Oh, not that one. King c1 is slightly
Yeah.
stronger. Yeah,
And
so
if-
you decided to go king d6.
Yeah, I realized that I had to try to bring the king closer to the g5 pawn, but here finally I can take the b2 pawn because if he takes on c4, I change the rooks now
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, and you take, you can exchange rooks.
Yeah, but
So-
well, I thought I was supposed to finish in the end game of the
Uh-huh.
game, and then I started
Uh,
to drift a bit.
drift a bit, yeah.
But okay,
But
it's always
okay,
good to win.
this was a good win.
Mhm.
It's a nice win. A nice win against Akobian. And you're back on the table.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah. So, how do you feel after this win? 4
Well,
wins in a row. It's coming up.
Lived, and
You
now
lived
ready to keep crushing.
Ready to keep crushing.
It was a bit strange because the round was a bit earlier today, no? But at least we were in time. I had time to see the tie breaks of the World Cup before I played.
Did you like the results that you saw?
Well, for the Latin Americans, it was a dark day.
Dark day. A heartbreaker.
Yeah, but okay.
Who
it
played
was worth
for
it.
Brazil?
It was Mkhitaryan.
Oh,
He
Mkhitaryan.
played.
Mhm.
Yeah, he lost to Andre King in the first game. He was
Okay.
much better,
All right.
but happens.
Yeah. So, best of luck.
Thank
You
you.
scored your first win.
Yeah.
Never stop. Who you're playing next?
I don't know.
Okay, that's the best attitude. I don't care who I'm playing. I'm going all in.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
So let's take a look at the Quezada Yasser game that actually finished earlier, which was a big blow to the Chesbra Amon Hambleton, but a big win for Quezada Yasser as he gets high on the leaderboard. Should be 5. So Yasser decides to avoid Amon's well-tried and tested Taimanov, which is very interesting as he had great results here as he once beat the legendary Alexei Shirov at the black side. So bishop b5 was played, aiming to have more of a strategic game instead of a full-blown fight. Knight e7, d4, and this is somewhat different than the usual, because this knight is a little bit clumsy on e7, but also the b5 bishop is out of place and it's a little bit flimsy there. So knight takes, queen takes a6, and probably taking on d4 was a slightly inaccurate decision as it brings the queen into this pole position of attacking, and getting ready to put some more pressure on black's position. A6, bishop d3, queen e3, and this is the big issue for black's position here. The queen will attack the g7 pawn, and white is almost already ready to make attacking moves of knight d5 and such. Queen c7, f4, bishop e7, queen h3, b5, castle, bishop e3. And while Hambleton is getting ready to castle, white is already launching an attack, and that's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, the
Caleb,
white piece is very, very nicely placed.
you're back.
Yeah,
Yes.
nice to be back in the chair. I had a little break there as we went through some interviews.
And we also have a draw in the Petrosian Zirk game.
Yeah, that one had fizzled into a
Yes.
rook end game.
In
I
a rook
believe.
end game and a simple draw.
Well, with that, I believe we just have one game remaining,
Yes.
but it's a very important one between Durabaili and, let's see, Malkumian, I think, who are both in prime position to become part of the leaders in the A group. With the draw, they would both join the current two leaders in Alexander Lenderman and Daros Wirtz. But with a win, either one could become the sole leader in the A group.
Yes.
So why don't we take a look at that game?
So
as
let's take a quick glance at it,
Mhm.
because I don't think that there's much to look at it. White is just completely winning. Durabaili is going to win as he's up in exchange.
Wow.
Rook g6 is coming, and he's collecting another point.
Incredible. That puts Vasif at a very, very impressive score here with 2.5 out of 3.
Yes.
And so he will be the sole leader in
Yes.
the A group. So how did this happen? What went wrong? Because last we checked, I thought
And
Yeah, I guess-
just what
White had some pressure, but
I told you, maneuvering will commence.
yes.
And white just maneuvered patiently until black ran out of ideas. So rook cg2, he decided to double on the g pawn as this rook moved away.
Yes.
Rook g8, and he realized and decided that with these two rooks already putting lots of pressure on g7, it's time
It's
for
time.
Caleb's
Nice.
knight e6 maneuver.
Finally, the one that I
And
wanted.
Caleb is rejoicing for a good reason, because knight e6, and now there are big, big issues there. Takes, takes. There's not much you can do about it. If you push the pawn, I'll take h takes, and it's over.
Yeah.
So takes, takes, and this
And,
is
yeah,
practically
This
over.
is disastrous.
White
So,
makes some consolidating moves, but
yeah.
sooner or later, this is a win for white.
So yeah, this is a huge game for Vasif.
Yes.
Yeah, very beautiful technique. Vasif, probably the most on-form player that we've seen in the A group. Every game, he just seems to be playing solidly, coming up with interesting ideas in the
yes.
opening, getting good positions, and then converting. So definitely a favorite to look at for
A
this A
big
group moving
favorite,
forward.
but beware, there are Alexes lurking around
the Alexes,
corner.
coming to get
and
him.
As he's going to take on another Alex, he might get the chance to tie for first.
Yeah. Well, why don't we take a quick look at this golden ticket promotion once again from the wonderful Ryan Chester, who has some interesting things to tell us about this.
Should do that.
Hi, my name is Ryan Chester, and I'm the development manager for the St. Louis Chess Club. I'm here to tell everyone about a golden opportunity that we have right now. We're selling golden tickets for $50 a piece. It's a 50-50 raffle. $5,000 will go to the Scholastic Chess Initiative for the St. Louis Chess Club, and $5,000 will go to a lucky winner. We're only selling 200 of these, and we've already sold many to grandmasters and all of our commentary team as well. So if you're interested, please call the Chess Club or go to our website on the homepage and buy a golden ticket there. Thank you and good luck.
Wow, once again, very interesting promotion from Ryan Chester. Make sure to get your golden tickets now before it's too late. They're drawing those once again on September 30th, so time is running out. With that in mind, we're coming to the end of our show here, Dennis. How about we take a look at the results for round 3 in Group A. So Alex Ipatov did actually go down to the wonderful Ray Robson, who recovered after a rough first 2 rounds. And Alex Linderman, of course, won his game against Alexander Bortnik, who we had him here in the studio to talk about that game. Vasif Durabaili, we very much expect to win his game against former tournament co-leader Hrant Malkumian. So that would put Vasif into clear first in the A group. Jordan Van Forst drew his game with Varakobian, and Daro drew his game with Ilias Spirin. So once again, the standings in Group A are shaking out to be Vasif in the lead, with Daro Swiertz and Alex Lenderman chasing close behind, just a half point out of first.
It's going to be a tough
Yeah, definitely.
tournament.
It'll be interesting to watch. And why don't we take a look at the results in the B group? Manuel Petrosian drew his game against Steven Zierk. Dennis Kadrick drew with Victor Mikulewski. Aram Hakobian lost to Alexander Fear. Alex with that very impressive game in the Benoni, showing a lot of understanding.
Yeah, and it's important to note that Alex Fear did save the honor of the Benoni, just tying the match of the Benonis, and it's 1.5, 1.5.
Yes, very interesting stuff. So Yasser Quesada Perez, of course, took down Amon Hamilton today. And the story of the tournament so far, Jack Shimbuliak moves to 3 out of 3.
Impressive
first
stuff.
in the B group.
Impressive.
And so that leaves us today with one person in clear first, one person in clear second, and one person in clear third in the B group, actually. That is Jack Shimbuliak leading with 3 out of 3, Yasser Quesada Perez in second place with 2.5 out of 3, and Steven Zierk actually in clear third place with 2 out of 3. These are the only 3 players with a plus score so far this
So
tournament.
many players on hot streaks.
Very exciting stuff. And some very exciting news, some sad news as well. I won't be able to join you, Dennis, tomorrow. Tomorrow,
We're
actually,
glad to have Patrick Wolf.
two-time U.S. champion Patrick Wolf will be here doing commentary over the Fall Chess Classic tomorrow, as well as the day after tomorrow. So we will be glad to have him here in the studio, but I will be sad to see you go, Dennis. But you'll be coming back. You'll be back.
I'll be back. It's
Thank
a
goodness.
promise.
All right, so be sure to join us for that coverage tomorrow with Grandmaster Patrick Wolf, starting once again at 3:30 p.m. And thank you for joining us today for our coverage of the 2019 Fall Chess Classic.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club.